Welcome back, everybody, once again to another post-show analysis. We bring the statistics, the high, the lows, the medians, the average Joes. Welcome once again to the predictions post-mortem for the first time for AEW, as AEW Revolution is forever filed away in the archives. So hello, everybody, and welcome back to this unique forum. It is, of course, I, the Superman, the Super Brand, the voice of us for Great for All Things Professional Wrestling. Damn it, my name is Noah Foster, and I also enjoy statistics. And I'm not the only statistician, as you see here. My fellow analysts who will show you and keep it real and mean if needed to. PapaGino is here as well. Show him some love. Subscribe today. You know what to do. So thank you all for tuning in. Please subscribe, comment, tell a friend. If you want to dictate the conversation, super chat, PayPal, that pass as simple as that. And if you also put in your predictions this past weekend, thanks for joining the All League. Would love to know your predictions, opinions, and your scores too. Without further ado, Gino, how are you?
No, I'm doing well. Thank you very much. Finally got caught up on some sleep, and usually we try to do this the day after the event, but you had your unfortunate circumstances. The event went into the following day, as it were, anyway, and then we don't do it on Tuesdays because of the No DQ review, which shout out to
Absolutely.
Aaron and the boys.
Yeah.
And so here we are. Looking forward to breaking it all down for you guys.
Yep, and again, folks, we'll look at each match. We'll figure about what we put into it, the previous history of Revolution, and the combatants, and maybe give our thoughts towards if we would have done something different. And of course, at the end, you will see the leaderboards and where you stand. So I think without further ado, PapaGino, let's get right into it. So again, folks,
Let's do it.
10, count them, 10 matches, this phenomenal kickoff to AEW's calendar year of not premium live events, but actual pay-per-views. We've had championships, we've had grudges, we've had re-encounters, we had definitive endings, and we've had a hell of a dynamic card and a long freaking night. So without further ado, and good to see Dave Shefflin and Oofman in the chat. Oh, go follow, by the way, when it's time to gab with Oof, also on the YouTubes. And again, folks, you may see down the line, maybe others join us, maybe the top scorer, the lowest scorer might join us. Other ways we might make this more dynamic for you and bring more of a conversation for you as well. Also, stick around as me and Walter Cruz, amongst others, we'll be doing a live watch-along coverage of the fallout from Revolution tonight with AEW Dynamite. Again, Dave, I was fortunate enough to get power back on just in time after 54 hours straight of nothing at 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Sunday night, so I was indeed able to watch the show. So that being said, Gino, where do you want to begin? We've had championships, we've had grudges, we've had unique singles affairs. So pick a match, pick a timeline, and let's go ahead and dive right into it.
So let's go to this one right here, the tag stuff.
Right.
Most notably because the PapaGino got one of the rare ones correct where most people got it wrong, but we will get to that. So we got the AEW Women's World Tag Team Champions, Babes of Wrath versus Megan Bayne and Lena Cross. And for me, as not a diehard, watching every segment, watching every episode, I thought you could still get more mileage out of the Babes of Wrath. And to me, that was basically the difference in why I picked them over Cross and Bane. But I'm sure on the Go Home show, there were stuff alluding to Cross and Bane's win. So, Noah, you did get it correct, as you mostly do. What went into your decision here?
First, shout out to everybody in the All Elite League for 2026, including you, as I am the reigning and defending champion. So good luck to everybody. For me, it goes like this. When the Babes of Wrath first won the AEW Women's World Tag Team Championships in the tournament, I knew there had to be a catalyst for something else, whether it was Sister Sin or whether it was Mega Bad. A change in the narrative, though, was brought forward, especially for me, with Lena Cross, now probably wrestling, yes, when she came down under in Australia and dropped the champions post-match after Mega Bad lost. Unfortunate circumstance with Penelope Ford, and of course, this was technically the second time that this combination of Mega Bad, now known as Divine Dominion, have now gone after the Babes of Wrath. There was also a cause and effect that I thought about here. Willow Nightingale is a double champion, TBS champion and tag champion, and she was defending both the same night. Statistically, if a double champion is going to show their merit and will, you don't expect them to go 2 for 2 in the same night when both championships are on the line. So thanks to that, that's another reason why I went with Mega Bayne and Lena Cross, because if it wasn't for Penelope Ford being injured, I think Megan Bayne, who's been overdue for a championship run of sorts in AEW, was due to get her moment here alongside Penelope Ford. But they had to change the script, as we would do, because, again, she's injured. With Lena Cross being fresh to AEW, but Megan Bayne being the established, experienced one, this is the perfect dynamic for Lena to grow with what Megan Bayne knows and how Megan Bayne leads. Plus, Megan Bayne's tag team history goes through Stardom as well. She's a former Stardom tag team champion, which also led me to believe she was due for this. I had to go with what's now known as Divine Dominion on many of those circumstances, and I was right.
Yes, you were, as were 10 other people were correct with that. And looks like I, missed the boat with that one. Shout out to everybody watching in the chat.
Darren
And
G,
whether it's on
Uthman,
demand
Dave,
or
good to see
live, we
y'all.
appreciate you guys. What was that?
I was just giving a shout out to them. I acknowledge Darren G, Uthman, and Dave. Appreciate them and always appreciate those that aren't even noticing their name in there, but might be tuning in for a split second. Again, folks, share, subscribe, share. We do this for all the biggest previews for WWE and AEW. For now, it may expand later. Continue.
All right. So we've got the FTR versus the Young Bucks in the tag team championship.
Good Lord.
For me, I also got this one wrong. I thought that there would be no way to make fans cheer for the Young Bucks ever again. And they did it, and I was like, you know what? They're fighting for the championship. I'm gonna pick them because it seems right. Now, at the risk of being long-winded here, I just don't care about FTR. I don't. Like, I don't like, it's not like I dislike them. I just am indifferent, which is arguably worse in wrestling than hating somebody or disliking them, because at least, like, with that hate, you get heat. For the FTR, to me, like, with their name alone, it's all about, oh, we were held back in WWE, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, miss me with that. Like, I couldn't care less. They're boring. Get them off my television. And they're good wrestlers. Oh, okay, they're never going to be singles people, blah, 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 blah. Like, the Young Bucks, I think, are more of what they have. And then we saw at the after the match, why I was wrong. But I will say this. If it wasn't for Cope and Cage, I think the Young Bucks would have gone over here. Noah, you obviously saw it differently than I did. What do you think?
It goes like this. I look at FTR as, again, a catalyst to something else. And I go back to the history of the Young Bucks, but a history of tag team wrestling dynasties. At All Out last year, for the first time ever, we saw Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. And of course, ENC won, but it didn't come without a price to one Beth Copeland, and a receipt was due. With this year being the possible end of opportunity for the Radar Superstar at Wrestle Dream, that will be in Canada, date and time to be determined, I had to think something big was going to be set up. And I thought that was going to rise out of Revolution. Honestly, I thought it was going to be in the Fallout. As far as that goes, though, when it comes to these two teams' dynamics, this is their fifth tag team encounter since they have come together in AEW, and the score was even. Not every time you see somebody in their hometown do you expect them to get a big win. Yes, it was nice to see the family there, but FTR, they're back in true form. They are the heels. They are the top guys. They are the ones that literally will do whatever it takes to hold on to the tag straps, and Stoke being a crutch of a manager makes it even more of a fine package to go with. For me, I think FTR is going to hold on to these titles until either Adam Copeland and Christian Cage takes it off them, or as I've seen in recent weeks, a new young upcoming team takes it off them. I don't think the Young Bucks need it again. Do the Young Bucks, though, offer that experience value where you think they're going to win? Yes, but I don't think the Young Bucks need to be four-time, might I add, AEW tag team champions. Keep in mind, if they did that, they would have the most reigns as the tag champs, and I don't think for them at this point is necessary. So I'm going to FTR retaining.
Well, I respect that, and obviously you were correct. I am not just saying this because I picked the Bucks, but I think it was the wrong decision. Either way, like you talked about last night on the review, right? You want to bring in young stars, but these both are experienced teams. But you can make stars again out of the Young Bucks. FTR has a very clear ceiling when it comes to mainstream appeal. and the Young Bucks, like they had the most popular T-shirt in the world going into like the first ever AEW event before AEW was even a thing. Their shirts are being sold at Hot Topic. You're never gonna find somebody wearing an FTR shirt not on television at an event. So for me, it was you have the opportunity to get some more star power underneath that division. They didn't go that route because they brought in the outside star power, with in Cope and Cage, even though they're AEW guys now, but they'll forever have always been, Edge and Christian. But that's a good way to make that transition. But we'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. I can't imagine FTR beating Cope and Cage, but then again, I couldn't imagine them winning Sunday. So with that down, I'm looking forward to talking about this, Noah.
Damn it.
The Don Callis family, from all the signs I can tell, is very disliked amongst the fans, and maybe whether that's because you want them to be disliked or because you actually have go away heat, it doesn't matter. We had the Don Callis family, the current champs, versus Mystico and Jet Speed, and for me, and to give everybody a little peek behind the curtain, I was in the middle of driving and visiting family this weekend, so I didn't get to do a lot of research. I kind of just went with my heart, and I was driving while circling a screenshot on my phone of who I thought was going to win and sent it to Noah, and then it only sent the one side. Then I had to type it out. So who even knows if all my picks went incorrectly, but I did pick Mystico and Jet Speed. Based on what I've seen with the product lately, it seemed like it would be the opportunity to give them the championship and move forward with the new champions. And it looks like Walter and I, the old reliable one and the new reliable one, we both got that one correct. Probably going to be the most lopsided correct versus incorrect ratio today. But Noah, got it wrong. Why were you back in the Don Callis family so hard here? Why was everybody else?
Yeah, I should have looked at Revolution statistics versus recency bias. The reason I went with the Don Callis family is because right now the biggest narrative in AEW is Brutal God both being champions and also Aussie Open being such a notorious tag team in the past. They've never been part of a trio as champion, and Kazuchika Okada is a notorious never overweight 6-man tag team champion from New Japan Pro Wrestling. So again, and I thought he was leading the team very well here, I thought they were going to have quite a run with these. Straight up. I did not think that Jet Speed were going to go straight back into the trios division without Heyman and Page. And I thought Mystico was going to be more of an idea of a showcase versus maybe becoming Kazuchika Okada versus Mystico here down the line. I did not think that these titles were going to be transitioned so quickly. The other thing I didn't consider, though, is that in the history of AEW, we have not had a wrestler outside AEW hold gold from AEW. Not to mention, as I point on my own commentary, Mystico is currently a Trios champion CMLL. So with hindsight not taken into consideration, considering the fact that the Trios championships have changed hands at Revolution, hello Elite versus House of Black, I freaking fumbled the ball here or let it go out of bounds on the court considering we're in the Lakers building. And I just botched myself. I thought the Don Callis family, especially Okada, at the forefront of this trio, we're going to hold them on for a long duration. I was wrong. I understand the reason why. And actually, I'm quite happy. And now this makes Mystico the first man in my recollection to hold trios gold in 2 different countries, let alone 2 different companies. So overall, it's history galore. Congrats, by the way, on being all elite.
It definitely seems like they're taking a little bit from WWE, where they have people from the different companies. I know AEW did it first, but having one of your guys holding the other title or having somebody in the other company hold the title, and why pass up the opportunity? Obviously, Mystico knows how to wrestle as a trios. Like, you take that experience into it. I know it's all kayfabe, but and I am really just got lucky on that one, so I'm trying to make it seem like I knew more than I did.
Mr. Humble Gino over here. Humble Gino. Well, anyway, good job. And I will also say shout out to the 40+ overall in the All Elite League in and out of Team No DQ. It was the most lopsided match, literally, when it came to picking the winner versus the ones that got it wrong.
The ones that got it wrong. So
Well,
where are we
anyway.
going next, Noah?
Well, let's go ahead and go into, well, a sandwich has essence, right? Let's go ahead and look at the middle and maybe the mid scores. Let's go ahead and look at these exhibition type match between the Trios Tornado Tag and the Lucha Libre affair that followed this, ironically enough. The most dangerous man to be determined. And of course, I'm just going to call what it is without being innuendo, our timeless climax. Let's go ahead and look at these unique 4 singles matches we've had here. And how fitting, ladies first. So you and I both got that right. For a reason, I imagine.
Well, listen. AEW, and again, this is coming from somebody who's not watching the go-home shows. It's not really keeping up with the product too much, other than the ridiculous amount of you guys talk more in the no DQ chat when Dynamite is on than when you guys do the rest of the week of wrestling. There's 9 hours of WWE going on, and you guys. And there's maybe a fraction of the total amount on talk about that. So it's real. So your passion makes me still be invested. But here's the bottom line. Following on 316 day 2 days ago, which was it technically ended on 316. So Timeless Tony Storm has no business losing. Timeless Tony Storm has no business even sullying herself in non-championship matches. Noah gets it. He's in the black and white. And Timeless Tony Storm has it all. The gimmick, the wrestling ability, the ability to go on the mic, the look for what she's going for, the look and aesthetic in general. And it all led to Rowdy Ronda Rousey coming in, which I don't think anybody had on their bingo card.
Nope.
In fact, I might have even had her as somebody who deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame that's not in there yet, and a very small list of people that would include. But now I don't know. But Timeless Tony Storm, she is everything for the women's division in AEW, especially with some of their other women no longer being there or not on television for whatever reason. Timeless Tony Storm is the top of the food chain, and she's got no business losing. So that's why I picked her. I will probably pick her every single time I see her name on the sheet.
I mean, to be fair, she had one of the highest single wins records last year in AEW, next to Chris Statler with the overall highest wins record, and we'll get to the World Championship matches here after this. But bringing things back to full color, it's one of those things also looking at Revolution records. She sent the glamour, Mariah May, to her death in a Hollywood ending. She defended the AEW Women's World Championship against the virtuosa Diana Perazzo successfully at Revolution. Revolution has been a stage for Tony Storm, Timeless, Illustrious, Outcast, whatever the frick you want to call it, since he's been here in AEW. I look at Marina Shafir as a foil because Marina Shafir, she's coming to her own this last year. No one wrestles like her. No one has a style like her. No one has an attitude like her. She retaliates and mutilates. Her own words. It's one of those things based on this side tangent, this epilogue of Timeless Tony Storm's murder since she lost the Women's World Championship, but she wants to get back there after her last promo where she called out Shafir for everyone banned from ringside, that I think that Timeless Tony Storm had to win here. Now, necessarily, I thought they were going to be done with the problem, but until you come up with a solution, you're never done with the problem. And now, of course, we got no holds barred. When it came to pay-per-view, though, I had Timeless Tony Storm winning on the grandest stage. Now, what happens in the cheap sheets or the traditional presentation? Wait and see tonight. For me, though, just based on her record and where I think Timeless Tony Storm wants to get back to and how much longer I think this is going to go before the Ronda Rousey inclusion, I think Timeless Tony Storm had to be the one to bring the, let's call it what it is, the curtain call. I will say this, though. In the history of me as a wrestling fan, I've never called a competitor kicking someone in the V and biting someone in the B to pick up victories in their matches. If you know, you know, folks. And that's why there's only one Timeless Tony Storm. Jesus Christ almighty.
Well said. And an appropriate use of initials and censoring. Unlike last night on the review where you could not be contained and you got your one swear word out for Aaron
I hear the
there.
T word, it triggers me because that should not exist. Just enjoy what you figure to enjoy and let other people enjoy what they enjoy. It doesn't matter what you believe it's right or wrong. We're all in this because we love this business. Anyway, continue.
But Noah, this is television. This is art. If somebody doesn't like what we like, then they're wrong. Obviously. Obviously, I'm
I
being
guess.
facetious there.
I guess. You know what? I guess. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's like trying
But,
to talk to somebody about a TV show or something. Like if they don't like it, but you like it, it's like they're just not they don't get it. It's like, all right, bro, like if you're telling me that, then you don't get it. But whatever. Let's move on.
it is what
We
it is.
had another trios match. It's funny because I hear a lot of hate online, especially WWE related when it comes to multi-person matches. Now I understand that tag matches are different because one-on-one tag matches, but it's 2-on-2.
Right.
But it seems like there's a lot of multi-person stuff going on, but there's still one team versus one team. So I guess it doesn't crack the whole just too many people situation. But here we go. We have Strong, Cassidy, and Allen versus the Dogs. I mean, to me, like these guys, maybe not Roderick Strong, but Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin are stars for this company. They are maybe not, again, the most over in the mainstream. I would love to see AEW stars doing more interviews, being more out in the public eye, going to premieres and things like that of movies and things like that, because that's really what makes people want to, when they see them, they come over to watch the product. And I feel like WWE will always have that edge because it's always on, oh, we're on Good Morning America tomorrow or whatever. And I just don't see that a lot with them. Like Darby Allin is the climber of Everest, and he will always have that. Speaking of doing media and stuff, I listened to him on CVV. I had no reason to because honestly, I couldn't really care about Darby Allin. But then I listened to his interview and it made me care about him. I'm invested in him. Orange Cassidy with this gimmick of I don't care. Like, I never want him to change the gimmick, right? Like, that type of stuff works for me. And
he's the only one that does it.
I love a good gimmick. So, Roderick Strong, though, like, I didn't buy him in NXT. I don't buy him Undisputed or any of this stuff or whatever. I could care less about Roderick Strong too, which is part of the reason why I just feel like a lot of the guys don't work for me as well in AEW. But Darby Allin has no business losing. Orange Cassidy has no business losing. And that's where my head was at while I was driving by myself from Boca back to the Tampa area.
I mean,
what about you?
It's a fair analysis. One of my favorite things about AEW when it comes to multi-person turmoil, whether it's a team, whether it's a faction, whether it's an army, whether it's anarchy, it's always a wild party of absolute madness to the finish. And that's what this is here. I look at the history of Roderick Strong and Orange Cassidy, and can they coexist? They don't conglomerate, but apparently they want to be a tag team now. What caused this sudden change? But I look at Roderick Strong's history in tag teams outside the Undisputed Era, outside ROH, outside NXT, when he betrayed his person, Pete Dunne, in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Finals. I almost thought this was a crutch, and I almost thought that Roderick Strong was going to pull a coup here and join the Dogs. I also look at the fact that the Dogs are an established known trio, but they're only known in New Japan, and that probably also bit me in the butt. They ran notoriously all across the Japan Pro Wrestling. David Finlay, of course, his preview debut, Clark Connors, and Gabe Kidd, all of them as a trio as their preview debut. But it's one of those things where you come in as a group. You don't necessarily have to win, but you leave an impression. And the impression here is that at the end of the day, this is about one thing. Gabe Kidd, Darby Allin's continued turmoil since the Death Riders mercenary angle. Ever since that freaking steel cage match has been endured, Darby Allin and Gabe Kidd have been trying to literally put each other in the ground to once pushing up daisies. After Gabe Kidd lost Darby Allin at World's End, I should have known it was going to escalate later to something, but I didn't know when we were going to have another singles match until tonight. And I guess this trios match was the crutch. At the end of the day, I should have gone with Darby Allin getting the better of Gabe Kidd, finally, to lead to what I hope is the finale, but I didn't. And I really thought Roderick Strong was going to betray Freshly Squeezed Orange Cassidy. There were so many X factors here with the non-established trio. I didn't think they were going to do it. and it got me in the ass.
Well, that's one way to put it. And I do want to shout out to the guys watching around in the chat again. Will say, so Uthman got it wrong. Dave got it wrong, along with you, Noah. So, at
Damn
this point in situation, Aaron obviously isn't watching, but he got this one right. He had a great showing. And sometimes it's lonely being right. And Jerry, Stevo, David, and Aaron and I, we were correct and lonely on this one. Now, speaking of lonely, there's Colin Andrew
Oh,
with his next
Colin.
match. And here we go. It
Oh, this
was
is so good.
Andrade, who had no Andrade, Cien, El Idolo, Almas, no business losing to Bandito. But we knew this was going to be a good match. It probably didn't even need to exist, but it did, and it worked. But Bandito has no business beating Andrade. They just got him back after with all the drama leaving WWE. He's flirting with all the OnlyFans models that he brings to the ringside area, even though they post that they don't even understand wrestling. So, like, I don't know how much that helps him outside of the televised product, but on the televised product, it's almost giving me DX vibes where it's like, yeah, we're going to find the baddest looking girls and we're going to go pose with them and whatever, whatever. So Andrade, his stock is on the rise. Nothing against Bandito, but Andrade had no business losing this match. It looks like you were right there with me, Noah. What did you think?
First off, ever since Andrade got released from prison, I mean divorce, ever since Andrade Igalo came back to professional wrestling and fine form, damn it, he's absolutely been incredible and unstoppable. He also is coming off a loss against Yoda Studio for the Goldweight Championship in the New Beginning in New Japan. He has currently 3 different championships, and let's not forget Bandito, who only has 1 singles loss so far this year against MJF for the WWE World Championship. He is the current Ring of Honor World Champion. Looking at the idea of the Don Callis family, still pursuing all the gold they can as much as possible. And Andrade, not in the AEW World Championship picture, but has that in his sights. But just with the Heyman down under Australia, I figured here he was going to get the win. It also was, again, Andrade and Bandito's first ever singles encounter, first ever match. It was literally, I would say, pupil versus master, because of course Bandito is the established name from Mexico, why Bandito had to literally grind his teeth in California because he couldn't get in CMLL. He worked at PWG and he looked up to Andrade Igalo. I went with experience factor and I looked at who's going to move towards a championship picture to challenge for a championship, whether it's Bandito's or whether it's the AEW World Championship. It felt in favor to me to go to Andrade. So for me, I felt Andrade needed a marquee win on his first match. I add AEW pay-per-view since returning back to AEW. I had to go with him, and boy, was this win hard-fought and amazing.
Absolutely. Now, moving on to something that I got wrong, but I shouldn't have. So this isn't so much me getting it wrong as it is AEW getting it wrong.
Oh,
Swerve
really?
Strickland, obviously, versus Brody King. Swerve Strickland's a made man. He's a former champion. He's all of these things. Brody King needs some wins, and I think that this win over Swerve would have been better than a win of Swerve over Brody. I don't think Swerve gains a lot from it, but I think that Brody, he's not really an outsider, but he is a musician, so it's kind of like adjacent. But I think that if we're going by what was said last night on the review and going by the idea that you want to try to create, bigger and better stars, like, I think this could have been an opportunity to pull the trigger on somebody who, as a casual fan, I want to get behind. I'm more aware of Swerve, not necessarily because of anything else other than his former entrance theme song and his ability to take non-wrestling related wrestling injury type spots with the syringes and the staple guns and all that stuff. Like, there's no doubt he's a badass. He's fearless. Like, you want to talk about somebody with Cero Miedo, like, that's Swerve Strickland for sure. But I thought that you could do, I don't really like, and we were talking about aesthetics in the chat. Like, I don't really like Brody King's whole aesthetic, to be honest. But like it kind of fits with his like rocker, not even gimmick, just the reality of it, which he is a rocker.
Yeah, he's
So
literally a leader of a band, a freaking heavy metal band. You're kidding me?
right. So again, I don't really like Aleister Black. I'm not a fan of the tatted from head to toe nonsense, but you do you. It's your body. And that's not going to look good in 40 years, but you do you, whatever. And I just thought Brody King should have won this one. Obviously, JJ Williams and Cass were on the wrong side of history with me, but it will be the correct side of history down the line when they realize they fumbled Brody King. Noah, what do you think about what made you have Swerve Strickland? Obviously there's the obviouses, but what made you pick Swerve?
Well, his Revolution history, like I said, he previously won the Trios Championships alongside the House of Black. He was last year involved in Revolution, challenging Kazuchika Okada for the Continental Championship. And we're on close to his home turf where he got his stomping grounds in at Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy. But to me, Brody King right now, he's just now breaking out into, I feel like, a singles type of idea and identity where he wants to become a champion. And I didn't think it was his time yet because right now is the aspect of who's the most dangerous man. And this all goes back to Kenny by God Omega. Kenny Omega endorsing Brody, and Swerve was like, and tried to cop kill him for the announce table. Case in point here. For me, I look at it being a bigger narrative for Swerve to get back to where he wants from. Because, again, Swerve signed the dotted line Revolution 4 years ago. This was the stage that Swerve Strickland came in on, and 1 year later found his spot and has been up ever since. Last year, it was about Swerve for AEW. Now it's Swerve reminding AEW exactly who the hell he is and building his dynasty back. If Swerve's going to move in that direction, then Swerve needed to win more than Brody King. Swerve has been on this accolade, this idea of, I needed this, ever since beating Kenny Omega. If that vision in my mind is going to keep up with Swerve Strickland and he's going to try and keep up with this MO and how dangerous he is, then he has to get a win here at Revolution again. Last year, he beat Ricochet as well. Revolution, much like I said about other people, is literally Swerve's house. I had to go with Swerve Strickland here. But again, hard-fought battle, and even in defeat, you're not necessarily ruined. And something tells me, again, with Brody King being such an accomplished performer and asset AEW, it's not the last time we're going to have Brody King and Swerve Strickland in the same sentence. First time ever one-on-one encounter, by the way, as well. No prior in-ring history. But I had to go with Swerve here based on character development, if nothing else.
Right. And I get that. And like Uthman said in the chat, Swerve is in the title picture. He had to win. I mean, unless he's the next challenger for the AEW World Championship, then I think you could have lost and still got back to that point. Again, we're talking about WWE fumbling or the potential when they should be pulling the trigger on people. Like for me, beating a former world head or former AEW World Champion is a way that you build up new stars and bring somebody else into that title picture. Because I hate to break it to you guys, Swerve ain't beating MJF. MJF is going to lose to somebody who's going to be a first-time AEW World Champion because that's what you should be doing when you're AEW and you have MJF who does the interviews, who is in the red carpets, who is in movies, who lives the gimmick inside and outside the ring. Like that stuff needs to be passed on. And regardless of in the title picture or not, I do think that I stand by thinking that more could have been gained from Brody than Swerve would have lost in a losing effort. Now,
to that point, Gino, I also just want to put this out there. Brody King did beat MJF earlier this year, happenstance aside, and did get a chance at the World Championship down under in Australia. Swerve Strickland, keyword, Swerve Strickland and MJF have never faced each other in the ring in AEW, but have teased it now in at least a couple of backstage segments in the last year alone. There's a lot of unique tastes to come with MJF holding the Triple B, which we'll talk about here with the echelon of the pay-per-view, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And that was one of the reasons why I got excited for AEW when they put the strap back on MJF, because MJF has no shortage of challengers, which also kind of means he's not going to lose the championship to any of them until he's gone through a lot of them. MJF losing to Ospreay, Dave says, I think that's very smart. Again, from what I understand, Ospreay hasn't won the world championship in AEW yet. Nope. So that's how what I said still stands to reason. But
he did beat MJF last year to win back the AEW, what was American, back to the International Championship. They are 1-1 against each other, and their first one went 59 minutes and 58 seconds. I'm just saying.
Yeah, so we're in for an absolute banger, and I'm sure somebody's getting a needle into the cheek. And speaking of needle
Oh
into the
boy.
cheek, we have the middle of this row
Man.
here. Moxley, the current champ, versus Konosuke Takeshita. I believe I said that right this time.
You did. I'm very impressed.
The reading of it doesn't work for my brain, and I just have to, because I've heard it a million times. I haven't read it so often, but like Virtue said last night on the No DQ review, shout out to them as well. AEW can be taking this opportunity to build up Moxley again. He's somebody who has his own cachet. You've got his former stablemates who, at the time, everybody thought Dean Ambrose was going to be the breakout star of the Shield. And you've still got Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns being top dogs, uber hounds, if you speak German, in the industry alone. And I think if you're AEW and you have somebody who has that proximity, that adjacentness, without having to mention it, you push him to the moon. And I do think it would be nice if Moxley stopped with the color, but I think that that's in his contract. Color in every match, period, and a discussion.
It's not been every match, but it's probably been more of his matches than most other people. Continue. And it hasn't been him every match either. Continue.
Right. But if Moxley's in a match, I am going to expect somebody is going to get color, potentially even the hard way. And there's been more color in Moxley matches over the last 5 years than there's been in all of the other promotions combined. I would venture to bet that.
That might be a fair statistic, but nonetheless, why did you go ahead and go again? You and I, we both actually got it right.
We did. And for me, it's kind of all this stuff that I was just saying about him. Like Moxley, like you just gotta run with him. Nothing against Takeshita, but like I know he's great in the ring. Say what you will about what I'm about to say, but somebody with the presence, the cachet, the mic ability, the
adaptability,
the drawing power of Moxley, he really shouldn't be at this point. He should be the one being built up, not him being used to build up people outside of his stable, of course, because we know that that's all coming to an end at some point and to a head. But it had to be Moxley. I mean, he's like Tony Storm for me. I'm probably going to be picking Moxley unless he's going against MJF in everything moving forward, unless they give me a reason not to. But what about you, Noah?
Oh my gosh, this was so damn good. This was my match of the night, damn it. Okay, straight up. This is their 5th singles encounter, but Jon Moxley has not had a singles loss since the Continental Classic. You know what that singles loss was against? His last singles loss? The Alpha Konosuke Takeshita. On the previous attempts, they currently were 2-2, but Konosuke Takeshita is also the best Continental Classic performer in rivalry history. He went literally 4 straight wins and 1 draw. He was not pinned or submitted during that entire tournament until the semifinals where he lost to Okada. There's a foil for you there. I also got Jon Moxley's mentality of what he believes professional wrestling should be, what this business deserves, and this adaptability towards every style possible. The Continental Championship truly defines you by how well you control what happens in the ring. No one's been more of a ring general since holding the title than Jon Moxley, with wins over El Clone, Josh Alexander, Hector Sherrill, Shelton Benjamin, Ace Austin, just to name a few. But the mentality of being the strongest, defining yourself by this championship, it fit both men so perfectly, and Konosuke has truly grown to his own. For me, this leads to Konosuke truly standing on his own, because he didn't want to do it the Don Callis family way. He wanted to do it his way, either in loss or defeat. Both men wanted a definitive finish. For me, this title fits Jon Moxley and what he believes the Death Riders are trying to do at AEW. For Konosuke, it leads to other things, because I think Konosuke is also soon enough going to leave this family. And we talked about Okada earlier. Far from Devil Kazuchika Okada, I think that's going to be run back. But there has not been a more fitting role for Jon Moxley to find somebody to overcome him, work harder than him, show they deserve it more right now than him holding the Continental title. I couldn't see him losing. And Benson would happen afterwards with the bruv, considering he is 0-2 against the Death Rider. that very well could be the person that takes the Continental Championship off of him. But in the meantime, Cano's going to Keshka. There's bigger things in store for the Alpha, in my opinion. I had to go with Mox retaining, and it was not fucking easy.
It wasn't easy for you to pick it, you're saying, or it wasn't easy for him to get the victory?
It wasn't easy for him to get the victory. This match was the longest match, 25 minutes, and the Alpha's body gave out, not his fighting spirit. He had a capacity and a submission.
And there's a lot of great storytelling to be told there. That's obviously part of the reason that the pay-per-view went into the wee morning hours on the East Coast, for sure. But you gotta, they're giving the people what they're paying for. You can say whatever you want about short pay-per-views or premium live events and long pay-per-views and whatever, but if you're paying per view, they're giving you your money's worth.
Then some.
Nobody can take that away from them. Speaking of stuff that I would like to be taken away, we had Chris Statlander, or only Colin and I, we're still riding the status where it's at train.
And, damn right, always. Continue.
And well, apparently not always, since you went with it's not. Is it Thekla or is it Tekla?
It is Thekla.
Okay, because I heard Aaron say Tekla. And I'm like, have I been saying it wrong? Like, I'm pretty sure I haven't, but I never 100% on anything in AEW, except for what we will get to in our main event, of course. But
of course.
Thekla, current champ, they got the championship there and won the match here. 2 out of 3 falls, which again is something that is you're getting your money's worth. But if you're looking for If I'm at a movie and I'm like, this movie was like 20 minutes too long, where would I have cut? I might have cut 2 out of the 3 falls off this match and then made it just a 1 fall. But it's all about the storytelling and the brilliance of how you set things up in wrestling and the story and the ride that they're taking you on. And again, I didn't watch it start to finish, so take what I'm saying like that with a grain of salt. Now, speaking of long events, I guess City said that you told him you demand a 24-hour marathon pay-per-view.
I didn't say that, but hey, if I'm paid to do it, I'll do it. Fuck it.
Dang. Well, just know that it is incredibly bad for your health to do a 24-hour live stream. I know somebody that did that, and he was in the hospital for days.
Straight up. Yeah, I mean, shoot, you need to resuscitate your body and your brain, once in a while. Recuperation and rest is key. I'm not bloody freaking crazy. Anyway, continue.
No, but you are that damn good. So, yeah, I picked Statlander because I thought I was under the impression that Stat was still where it's at, and I was wrong. You still believe that, but had the foresight to pick Thekla. So what made you go with that?
Why Chris Statlander is, in my opinion, much like MJF, truly the foundation of what AEW is all about, in truly being where you are as a wrestler and where you wrestle. Coming back from 2 knee replacement surgeries, 600 plus days out on injury, the biggest singles wins amount across the entire women's division, over 170 of them. She, of course, beat Mercedes Moné, Thomas Toy Storm, Jamie Hayter, Mina Shirakawa, and Thekla during her run. She's also about establishing character development out of this women's division and want to see what can flourish. There has not been a hotter commodity for the AEW women's division in such a quicker fashion. Thekla, when she showed up on AEW Dynamite, excuse me, after Double or Nothing last year and dropped Jamie Hayter like a bad habit and been upwards ever since. With the only established female faction right now in AEW, led by her in the Triangle of Madness and 2 AEW originals that also have a long-term history with Chris Statlander. Sky Blue and Julia Hart, might I add, TBS champion. How'd she get it? Not pinning Chris. Chris was involved in the match, but pinning Sky Blue. They're all interconnected. For me, Chris Statlander right now and her attitude, it fits a hunter, it fits a Terminator that's not going to stop at nothing so the Triangle of Madness is destroyed. And I want to see this hunt continue. For me, I look at the AEW World Championship far more valuable than some other titles and some other companies that are women's world championships, just my opinion. But nonetheless, Thekla has commanded a presence over this championship, and I think that she can really flourish from a longer run. There's a reason you go for the first time ever, by the way, 2 out of 3 falls, the first time ever in AEW, to set something definitively. And for me, it came down to Thekla definitively putting Chris Statlander in the rearview mirror out of the championship picture. But I don't think she's going to be out of her business. I had to go with Thekla here to see how this develops for the AEW Women's World Championship. More importantly, the Triangle of Madness. The Triangle of Madness is going to be a force to be reckoned with. You need something at the top of the hypotenuse to establish it. And that is the experienced Thekla. And again, Chris Statlander, still probably the most viable worker there that can work with anybody who wants to work with her. Doesn't need the title to still be that. Plus, she is still the Pro Wrestling Eve International Champion, just beating Charlie, the former Dakota Kai, at Wrestle Kingdom 8. She's always busy, and she's always AEW and where it's at. But for now, Thekla, let's see what else this madness brings. And I'm kind of digging it.
Well, we know that Noah is a very picky individual, so if he is digging it, then they're obviously doing something right for sure. Now, speaking of doing something right, we have the only, the first, the oldest, the youngest, the prettiest, unanimous decision of the year. You see what I did? A little throwback to Chelsea Green there because, you're we pledge our allegiance. But MJF versus, and honestly, it didn't matter who he was going to verse. His name was getting thrown down this sheet like a freaking hot potato. But it was against Hangman Adam Page in a Texas death match. Something that, if you're just reading it on paper, well, Hangman Adam Page sounds like a cowboy. He's got the whole thing, Texas death match, kind of his situation. But it's Maxwell, Jacob Friedman. He deserves it. He should not even be getting near fault in the near future. It should be pretty decisive moving from here until we're sniffing Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You in 2026.
That's a fair point, though.
Yes, but I will say this:
MJF isn't. Continue.
Yeah, shout out to Datilla, everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, so based on what she's saying, shout out to Max because he is definitely showing that he's not because he could easily be like, I'm not taking bumps on thumbtacks. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. Like he could easily do that, and we would believe it, and we wouldn't even complain about it. But he's out here showing that he's not only the best in the ring, he's the best on the microphone, but he's also pretty fearless, and he's willing to go out there and do these things with these people who have arguably made their name doing things like this. And honestly, and I'm all here for it. MJF proving he's the best in every aspect of professional wrestling, and especially in AEW, is not just coasting. He's not pulling a Roman Reigns where he's winning by interference and cheap tactics and then not giving people rematches and blah, 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 blah. No, he is out here busting his keister for us, for his company, for his coworkers, for his family, maybe not his mom because we know that they have history there, but he's busting his keister for everybody out there. And he is one of the most, if not the most exciting thing to watch in all of wrestling, especially in AEW. And MJF, if anybody didn't pick, in fact, if anybody doesn't pick MJF when MJF wins, I might want to have them on just for when we talk about it, that match, to see what kind of stuff, chemicals they were putting in their body and where I can get some, because MJF should never be losing. Let him go on. Let him be Asuka and Goldberg combined. Let him go undefeated for the rest of time, as far as I'm concerned. I know that's not how it works in professional wrestling. No. Damn it. But that's how I feel about it. Noah, I can wax poetic about MJF all day and night, but we don't want this to be as long as the actual pay-per-view. So why did you pick MJF?
First off, let me go ahead and share this little fun little bit with you. There was actually 25% of this poll, 11 people, that did pick Hangman Adam Page to actually regain the AEW Men's World Championship. And you look at the history of these two men that have defined the letters AEW and the company All Elite Wrestling. Going all the way back to WNW 2019 in the Casino Battle Royale, where it came down to MJF and Hangman Adam Page, Heyman eliminated MJF. Much like Heyman said, as we fast forward here to 2026, you and I, we talk about this championship, but there's more than we wanted We need it. So much of each of these men's career have been shaping against each other. 2019 is when MJF first won the Dynamite Ring against Heyman and Page. 2 times last year. Last year at Revolution, non-title, neither man was holding the championship. Heyman and Page won. At the Forbidden Door, when Heyman and Page was the champion, he beat MJF. This was their second encounter involving the championship, this time with the roles reversed. MJF's Revolution history, though, survived a dog collar match against CM Punk, beat the American Dragon Bryan Danielson during his first run as AEW champion in sudden death overtime. Just saying. And of course, he was involved during the pandemic alongside Chris Jericho when they went after the tag team titles and were part of the show of Sparkles at the end. There were so many callbacks to try and prey upon MJF's cowardice, insecurity, unawareness, considering channeling his inner Terry Funk. This was his first ever death match, folks. He's never been involved in anything like this shit in his career. It goes back to that psychology he's talking about, that I am above this, I'm a professional wrestler, damn it. But Heyman and Page didn't want to leave nothing to chance, didn't want to leave nothing in the past to move forward in the future. He wanted, again, a definitive end. He wanted to see who truly needed this more. And at the end of the day, much like Attila said, it took freaking nearly bloody murdering Heyman and Page as they went through exploding table, glass, barbed wire, skewers, insert weapon here not called the kitchen sink, to literally carve these men where they would never be the same again. And the fact that the foil was, I want you to bring that diamond ring, was also Heyman's undoing. A cheap shot over the head that's perfectly legal, and then hanging Heyman as much as he hung John Moxley not once but twice. Why Texas Deathmatch has been Heyman's favorite now, record 4-2. The only man, by the way, has been involved in every Texas Deathmatch here in AEW. So much about this, you could look on paper, was 50-50. But again, this run for MJF is about quality, not quantity. You named it yourself. You just deciphered it yourself. You defined it yourself based on MJF's character development, presence, and the dynamic he offers in the direction of the AEW product, where he's pushing forward, showcasing, mentioning young talent. Kevin Knight, Alec Price, Kyle Fletcher, just to name a few, established names that could be revisited, including Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega, Swerve Strickland, that they haven't done yet, with wins already over Bandito and Brody King. Everything about AEW's calendar right now is defined by MJF leading it on in what feels like a full-on reset, where he has said with Denise Salcedo personally, this company has not been better since All In 2023 and has never felt more fresh without cancer. So, bottom line, Heyman was here to make sure that MJF truly could be what MJF wants to be, the main character, the real character. Maybe the people will finally choose him because they murdered the Hangman as he stood over him like a freaking carcass fought over at the end of the most damnedest war I ever got to call. If MJF was not going to win this first time ever for him, Texas Death Match, then you almost literally reset all the hard work AEW has done in trying to redefine their roster with a whole new fresh picture. At the end of the day, this had to go MJF's way. The Hangman got hung. The Hangman is done with the world title, according to his word. And for some reason, I want to believe integrity still matters in professional wrestling. So I truly hope he sticks to it. And I do hope it means that MJF has a long run to come and we define who is the next face of AEW. It just won't be Heyman and Page, and this was the way to do it.
Absolutely. And we know sometimes that when you're told you can never wrestle for said word title again, that they repeal that decision within a month of stating it. I'm looking at Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes' this whole situation, but that is a discussion for another video.
Right.
MJF deserved it. Let's go ahead and bring up all of the whole picture, and
Absolutely.
we will see how we did, everybody. So we've got Noah, of course, sitting at the top, but our humble king not putting himself above David, which we love, because if it was me doing this, you better believe my number would be at the top of whatever number I had.
Listen, I may be Noah Andrew Foster, but I do not have an eagle like Maxwell Jacob Freeman. MJF is not NAF, all right? It's as simple as that. And Excel actually decides the order. Continue.
Well, Excel. And so you got you just missed out. So which one of the, real quick, which one, the dogs or
the friggin' dogs? The friggin' dogs.
would you have switched, like, if you could go back, like, not knowing what you know now, but like kind of one that you were more on the fence about? Was it the dogs or was it Mystico? Like, would you have changed either of those?
I probably would have changed the mystical one because, in hindsight, the one of the strategies of AEW this year has been dual contracting talent between CMLL and AEW. Persephone, Mascara Dorada, Hechicero, and now Mystical. Ah!
Okay,
Oh
and for
well.
me, I definitely would have. Um, I wouldn't have changed the Young Bucks. I probably wouldn't have changed Stat. I might have explored the Babes of Wrath change if I was like paying attention more to the product like that. Yeah, so Noah and I both have an A-N middle name. So his is Andrew, mine is Anthony. Two very strong names, if I do say so myself.
There you
But
go.
I digress. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm at 6 points. But again, I did it late, not not after the pay per view started, but I did it late with no research. And I know Noah doesn't do his research, but at least watches it, which you could count
That
as
is the
research.
research, and I also do the research. I don't do the research. What you just say?
Sorry, not that you don't do the research. I know you don't look at the dirt sheets and do
That's
like
right.
betting odds, and that's what I
No.
mean when I'm saying the research,
Oh well,
right?
that's poor research in my opinion. But anyway, continue.
Well, they say betting makes a poor man out of us all, but that's why we do
Eh,
this. It's fun here. Yeah, but Noah's super knowledgeable. Like his takes are his uniquely his own, and that is that's kind of where I was going with that. For me, I'm looking at what does everybody have to say, and I kind of aggregate it, right? Especially with stuff that I don't follow as much. So I got 6. Noah got 8. Shout out to Aaron for getting 9. And
There's
you
your
can't leave
leaderboard.
David, Walter, and Steve-O are right there. But I think for one hand on the wheel, one hand on the phone, I think I did pretty well there. You
I must
know,
say, you're swerving your own freaking lane. It feels like, but yeah, for starter overall, everyone did fairly well. The average pretty much was about 6 points, and nobody at all got a perfect. Not even in the all elite fleet, as I like to call it here. As I show you this right now, where my friend Ashley Reynolds is currently leading with Time with Aaron Riff, 9 points. But again, shout out to my Canadian friend, our Canadian friend Ash, my ATW crew brothers, Lex and King, regulars of the No DQ Galaxy and other prediction leagues like Kimberly, Alistair Emanuel, my boy Kyle, who I believe won this league last year, DJW, Rob Cree. Again, it's the kickoff. Again, last year they gave us 9 events. So at the end of the day, enjoy All Elite Wrestling. Continue to see predicting, folks. We're only just begun. Next stop, Dynasty.
absolutely. And guys, real quick, I want to take this opportunity to thank Noah for all the hard work he does. He's going to say it's not that hard because he's good at it and it comes easy to him. But this is anybody who's watching knows that this isn't easy and Noah deserves his flowers. And also, shout out to Noah for passing 400 subscribers on YouTube.
Oh,
Very well done. Very happy for him. Nobody deserves it more than this man right here. So if you're watching from my channel and you aren't already subscribed to Noah, what are you doing? Go over there and give him some love. Check out his stuff is in the description of my video. My link is in the description of his video. But if you want to check us out by doing the typing into the top search bar there, you can type PapaGino0017 to catch me. I will be recording my Major Push Wrestling talk show this evening. I'm going to be dropping that episode Thursday at 7, and I'll be doing some live streaming Rocket League, trying to get the new season going on tonight. And obviously, the No DQ review on Tuesdays. I am no longer a rotating moderator, not because of anything I did wrong or wasn't good enough at, as anybody who's watched would know that. Virtue's taking more of a spearheading role back into a full time before he ultimately retires, and then it would be next man up, NIL as they use in sports. And I look forward to being able to be on with that with Noah. We've got so many more events. This is just the beginning of all the predictions, breakdowns.
oh
we
yeah.
will we will be laying them to rest, filing them in the servers, doing the data, all that stuff. But Noah, where can the people find you if they don't already know? Which would be
Well,
insane. But where can the people find you?
well, again, I keep to myself, and as always, I like to say, it's not about me; it's about wrestling. But if they want to be part of the statistical fun and see the predicting, they can find me on YouTube and on the X and in Foster 1916. For I am nothing more but a simple man and a lifelong fan of professional wrestling. Damn it! Reminding you to gesture live, to professional wrestling, and have fun to the predicting too. It's as simple as that. Again, I'm always busy with stuff with the Super Liable Studios family. Again, we consider ourselves your one stop for professional wrestling coverage. So you saw it to the chat. She represents Rangers of Wrestling. So subscribe to her today. Always got nothing but love for our Mighty Morphin Pink Power Ranger of the City Predicting community. I mentioned Ash earlier. She is the Shinyon Pro Wrestling fan, New Japan Pro Wrestling like me. All right, got told, but she's always working hard. Subscribe to her today at Bad for Wrestling. Subscribe to my friends. Support all of my friends. Enjoy live, enjoy wrestling. Subscribe, follow. And again, don't let social media and don't let a keyword dictate your conversation, your opinions, your outlook on the business. This Saturday, we got another interview with another wrestler as part of our continued Ladies of Pulled Out Mania coverage. Of course, we'll be covering that during WrestleMania week. So, again, shout out to Leave the Base. That was part of the fun last weekend. We actually have Jasmine Allure coming up tomorrow evening, I believe. And another town coming up this Saturday. And then, of course, you could stay tuned for Jada to be driven insane in the membrane by all of us when we host, of course, the weekly moderate conversation wrestling match that is the Saturday Shenanigans this Saturday, 11 p.m. And, of course, within the hour, me and Walter and who knows who else, we're going to be covering the fallout to AEW Revolution Live tonight with AEW Dynamite. But until next time, as always, you know what I'm all about. Just enjoy live and enjoy wrestling, too, and treasure your families. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.
And as always, make a positive impact in life and give this a subscribe and a good like. And have a good night as AEW Revolution has been filed away in the archives. We'll see you for WrestleMania and AEW Dynasty on the next Predictions Post-Mortem. Bye-bye.